and we're going to get to the presentation shortly. I'd just like to start with a couple housekeeping items. There are a couple buttons on your webinar pane right next to your name. There's a question mark and there's a raise your hand feature. If you click on the question mark button and you manually type in a question, I will read your question at the next break in slides. If you would like to speak live, go ahead and use that raise your hand button next to your name. That'll tell me to unmute your line, and we'll just have some live conversation there. We would encourage you to have live conversation just to make sure that we answer your question appropriately and that you understand the answer. So we would encourage you to do that. And we're going to go ahead and get started here in the next few moments. We've got Ray Thomas on the phone with MSI Data. Ray's been working with MSI for over a year. MSI Data has been in business for over 15 years. They have a history with the Macola accounting software, but also Sage 100 ERP, and they have some fantastic mobile technology that they're going to share today. And I do see that we do have a question, so I want to make sure I get that question. Oh, someone is getting an echo. If you're getting an echo, let's just test out that raise your hand button. If everybody's hearing the same echo, can you go ahead and just raise your hand and let me know? Just click on that raise your hand button and then that should tell me. Okay, so I'm not seeing anyone else getting the echo, so it might be, James, thank you for your question, that there's something to do with your mic and speakers on your actual computer or your phone. It looks like you're logged in via your computer, I can tell that, so I will mute myself when Ray gets started. So without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and let Ray get started. Thank you so much, Ray.
Thank you, Adrian. As Adrian mentioned, my name's Ray Thomas. I am Director of Business Development here at MSI Data. Thank you for joining today and taking the time out of your day to walk through this with us. This is essentially a recap of our presentation that we delivered at the Sage Summit, which we had a lot of positive feedback on. So we wanted to basically rebroadcast this for those that maybe were in conflicting sessions or maybe didn't make it to the summit. Before I continue, Adrian, I'm sorry, were you going to show poll slides at the beginning or towards the end?
We'll go ahead and hold off until the end for those poll the polling.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Great. Well, let's get started then. Hopefully everyone can see my slides. Again, just raise your hand if you can't. But this is really a partner-focused session. So our goal here is to really show you how you can help your customers and prospects with service management, because that's what we deliver is really field service management software. So we'll be talking through a couple different ways that our solution is helping out customers in the Sage marketplace. And really a big piece of what we do is tied to mobile. So we have native mobile apps. You may be familiar with the Sage mobile service app. We have a solution that goes above and beyond those capabilities, so we'll walk you through that today. But really, mobile is a huge trend across the software industry. In a lot of Sage customers are in manufacturing. Just within manufacturing, we've got data that shows a 63% reported increase in tablets, and 78.3% of manufacturers saw an increase in smartphone usage. So you can tell that customers are using smartphones, they're using iPhones, Android phones, they're increasing in tablet usage as well. So that's a huge opportunity to go after as these customers are looking for software to use with their business on these devices. And with our customers, we've seen about a 3-to-1 field to office ratio. So this is a good chance to grow your number of users that you're working with in an account and grow your usage of your solutions that you sell in an account, because you might have 5 back office users that are in Sage 100, but that might mean that there's about 15 field users that would be looking for software on the service side, and that's where we come in. We want to help you, meet your customer need, grow your existing accounts, and win new business by attracting new customers. So that's really our goal, is to show you how we can deliver on that today. That's kind of why we're here. So overall today, we'll do a brief company overview. So I'll talk about us as a company, MSI Data. I apologize if I speak too quickly. I like to keep webinars kind of high energy. I know that sometimes they're not the most interesting thing to sit through. So if you miss anything, again, just ask questions. We'll have Q&A time at the end. So after a company overview, we're going to walk through the title of the presentation, which is 3 Technologies for Modernizing Field Service for Sage 100 ERP. So we'll talk about 3 ways that we're modernizing field service. Number 1 is empowering schedulers. Number 2 is mobilizing service technicians out in the field. And number 3 is involving stakeholders. So we'll walk you through all of those, and then we'll get into how we actually integrate with Sage 100. So first, a few slides about us as a company. This is kind of our goal slide, or our strategy slide. The reason customers choose to work with us is that they've got a gap in their current execution process. So that gap is typically between business process, stakeholders within or outside the organization, and technology. And kind of the example I like to walk through here is, we talked about smartphone usage. So a company may decide, hey, we should get on this trend. Let's buy tablets or smartphones for all of our users and field technicians. And that is a great step, but simply having a device in the hands of field technicians isn't going to help you with these business processes on the left. So just having a device by itself probably isn't going to help you with work order management, contracts management, scheduling, dispatch, inspections, reporting, any of those. You really need a software application running on that device to help with those. So we kind of divide the world into 3 big areas: scheduling, back office, and mobile. Those are kind of the big areas we're going to walk through today, and those are how we bridge that gap and connect the business process to stakeholders and technology, so that the right people have access to the right data at the right time. So that's kind of our goal in working with customers, is making sure that basically things are flowing smoothly and the business process doesn't have any gaps in it. Probably one that's been a little bit surprising to me is the number of customers, even on Sage 100, who say they've got problems with their inventory. And my first reaction was, well, aren't you managing inventory in Sage 100? And they say, well, yes, but the problem is that I don't have Sage 100 out in the field. So the field technicians write on a sheet of paper what parts they use, and half the time that's wrong, or I can't read it and it comes back, and it'd be better if I had a way of decrementing inventory out in the field. Seems like a simple thing, but it's amazing the benefit and the struggle that customers go through with regards to that. Again, that's where we come in and we'll help out, and we'll show you that today. So that's kind of about us as a company and how we work with customers. This is another slide kind of on what sets us apart from other vendors in this space. I know there's several other vendors that integrate with Sage 100. There's even far more that don't integrate with Sage 100 that play kind of more in the higher end space. And we compete with both of those in deals big and small. And so we put this together, and really our company's kind of designed around these 3 values of our software. Our goal is to make our software easy to acquire, easy to deploy, and if we do both of those right, we'll provide a quick ROI. And that's really what it's about. If they're going to spend money on software, they need to be able to justify that and show a return on that software spend. And so we've kind of built our company to be able to show that to customers fairly easily. A lot of us here have come from bigger software companies with much larger software products that took years to implement and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase. And at the end of a couple years, the customer wasn't live and they weren't happy. And so we have kind of done a departure from that model. We want to get customers up and running in 3 to 4 months rather than 3 to 4 years. We want customers, on a model that makes sense for them. So we'll talk about pricing a little bit later, but our software is priced at a monthly fee per user, so they're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars up front to get up and running, and then not having anything to show at the end of several years. Easy to deploy. We run on most major devices. So we run natively on iOS, Android, Windows Mobile, so some of the more rugged devices, as well as the consumer devices. We can host the software. For Sage integrations, we typically like to be on the same network. So if it's a hosted environment that the Sage product is running on, we like to be as close to that as possible to avoid things like firewall issues. And if it's running on premises, then we like to be on that same customer infrastructure. But overall, we can do either one. And then again, our goal is to show rapid ROI, and most of our customers see that fairly easily and fairly quickly. I'm going to talk briefly about a couple of our different products as a company. I'll only be focusing on the ServicePro product today, which is our service solution. We also have a product called Veil, which is an inspection solution. I'll show you that inspection capability as part of our service product. We just also sell that product standalone because there's some customers that will only do inspections out in the field. They don't need the whole service suite. And so that inspection product has three components. There's an inspection builder, and again, you get all these capabilities with our ServicePro product. So customers can actually build what we call inspections. It's really any kind of field data capture or replacing paper out in the field, which is a huge step. Again, the field is really what we're all about. So we can build these inspections. It's drag and drop. You don't have to know how to code or anything like that. So customers can build them. Resellers can build them. They'll actually perform the inspection out on the mobile device, and then all this is going into a SQL database for reporting. So that's kind of our Veil product in a nutshell, in case there's any interest there. But the focus of today is really on our ServicePro product. And again, we kind of divide the world into three big areas: back office, scheduling, and mobile. And by back office, we really mean not the typical Sage users necessarily. Obviously, in a small company, some people wear multiple hats, but really, more on the service side. So the service manager, the scheduler, dispatcher, that type of role. We do have a portal solution that we'll show you today that could be accessible by everyone. It could also potentially pull data from Sage. But we also have a complete back office solution that's more of a desktop application like Sage 100. We won't be getting into that today, but that is our core product. That's most of our sales. We're going to be focusing on some of the pieces that plug into that, which are back office, scheduling, and mobile. On the scheduling side, we'll show you our visual scheduler, and we'll schedule a work order. That work order has already been created in our back office system that we don't have time to show today, but we'll skip that step. If there's interest, we're happy to do follow-up demos. But basically, we'll show a work order, we'll schedule it, we'll dispatch it, we'll bring it up on the technician's mobile device. And that's kind of what our scenario today looks like. A question that we get asked often is, what does our typical customer look like? We have customers in over 20 different vertical markets. The thing that unites them is that they have people out in the field that they're scheduling and collecting data from. Many of our customers are servicing equipment that they distribute. So we have a lot of distributors. We have some manufacturers. But again, they're in 20 different verticals. So everything from coffee machines to cash counting machines to medical devices to generators and HVAC contractors. So really across the board, again, they've all got technicians out in the field that they're managing, scheduling, and getting data from. This is kind of, again, the different capabilities of ServicePro. We'll be focusing on portals, scheduler, and mobile today, so I'll skip those for now because I'm going to go into detail on those. ServicePro is here at the middle. That's the main desktop kind of back office application. It does call taking, contracts management, warranty management. We've got an RMA module if there's any depot repair that gets done. And we use Crystal reports. We've got over 100 reports out of the box. We are happy to write more. We're happy to show you as a reseller how to write more if you'd like to do that. We white label Knowledge Sync as a ServicePro Events Manager, but that is the software that integrates with Sage 2, so I'm assuming most of you are familiar with it. We sell that on almost every one of our deals. It's a great solution for ServicePro because people like to know what's happening with all these different work orders and scheduling and things like that. So it's great for sending customers alerts as well as notifying internal people. This slide is kind of illustrating why we work with Sage. We recognize that we can't do everything. We can't be everything to everyone. We're not great at a lot of the core accounting functions ourselves, things like GL, AP, and AR, which is why we choose to partner with companies like Sage and resellers such as yourselves. We partner with a number of other ERP packages as well. We sell our software standalone. Sometimes accounting isn't a huge accounting integration, I should say, isn't a huge need for the customer, so we do sell it standalone, but we also sell it integrated to ERP systems. And then a lot of the times we'll also integrate with a fleet management system or GPS system. We partner with several of those today, TomTom, Network Fleet, GE Fleets. So basically when we get to our scheduler, we'll show you how that could work. We've got partners that sell rugged devices. We work with companies that do map data. We can do mobile invoicing if that's a huge need, and we can also push data to payroll. We aren't pushing data to Sage Payroll with any of our current customers. A lot of them will have Paychex or ADP or a service like that, and so we're pushing the billable hours into a system like that. So that's a lot of information very quickly. Again, if there's any questions, we'll have some time at the end to go over those. But here's really the meat of today's webinar, and I apologize it took so long to get into it. But we're going to walk through a demo of the software. And the first thing that we're going to talk about in our 3 steps of modernizing field service is empowering schedulers. So when we talk to the people in the scheduling or dispatch function, they tell us that the big thing for them is visibility. They need to know where the technicians are, what they're doing, what job they're on, if they're going to be finished on time so they can make the next appointment, or if they need to reschedule other appointments. So obviously you can imagine this can be a stressful, chaotic role if you don't have any software to help you with this. A lot of schedulers will use a whiteboard and kind of use that to keep track of things. But they see clear benefits in moving to software to help manage that. So I'm going to pull up a quick demo of our scheduling software and show you the capabilities there. So just give me one moment to pull that up. All right, hopefully everyone can see my screen here. So what you're looking at is our visual schedule board. Again, I've already created a work order based on a customer calling in and requesting service, and that work order is this one here, 2795 Saratoga Medical Hospital. A customer called in from Saratoga Medical and said that their generator won't start. When I click on this job, it actually zooms in so I can see where this is. I can see this is in north of Milwaukee, and I can see that Ray, the technician, is close by. Kyle is close by. I can see other work orders kind of around there, so maybe I want to pull somebody who's currently scheduled to be close by, or maybe I want to pull Ray or Kyle. I can see this is a mechanical job, so I might want to make sure that whoever I'm sending has the appropriate skills. So I'll just apply a mechanical skill filter. You'll see that that shrinks that list down. Kyle turned yellow because he's not skilled mechanically. Ray's still blue, so let's go ahead and schedule Ray for this job. So basically I just click and drag this work order up to my scheduler, and now Ray is scheduled for this job. So we can see that order 2795 is on Ray's schedule for 1 o'clock today, and you can see that it's blue right now because it's in the new status. So a couple things I'll point out on our schedule board while we're here is this job status. We can have configurable statuses, so you could have 2 statuses, you could have 22, the colors are configurable as well. But basically, once Ray sees this work order, he might accept it, and that's going to change the status to yellow. Once he's arrived on site, he could change the status to arrived. But again, this goes back to that visibility problem that schedulers have. This helps them see where the technicians are on the map and what the status of the work order that they're currently working on is. The technician pens, we pull GPS from the device. If it's a GPS integration where they've got something plugged into a truck, like a telematic solution, we can just as easily pull that GPS and display it here also, or instead. I am currently looking at 24 slots of 1 hour. I could just as easily pull up an entire month view if most of my jobs are kind of day-long jobs and I'm kind of scheduling for a month out. That's what this could look like. So you can see in my demo system I've only got work the next few days. I showed skill filters, and I'll also show what we call just technician filters, which could be groups of technicians. So if I pick the DC metro area, my list of technicians shrinks down to just a handful, and then I could apply further filtering like our mechanical skill filter, and that's going to shrink the list down even more. So if I have several branches or several locations that I'm responsible for scheduling, I can set those up as different groups, and I could have visibility across those groups, or I could kind of lock that down in the organization. So that's really the extent of our scheduling solution. We've also got the capability of kind of looking at individual schedules, so a technician could pull this up and see what their schedule looks like. This could integrate with Outlook, so they could view it on their Outlook calendar as well. So that's essentially the scheduling solution, and that is how we help schedulers really have better visibility to what's going on out in the field. So that's step one. Step two, when it comes to modernizing field service, is about mobilizing service technicians. So again, when we talk to service techs, it's no surprise that they don't like paperwork. They want to spend more time doing their actual job and less time writing about what they're doing. Or less, some companies actually have their service techs key everything into the computer, so they've got to write it down, and then they've got to go back to the office and key it in to some software package for billing purposes. Or maybe they hand in paperwork orders and some order entry person has to read it and enter it into Sage, and obviously mistakes can happen and be a part of that. And so what we're going to show you with our mobile solution is how we help mobile field technicians cut down on their paperwork, get their work done, spend more time getting their work done, and use a solution like ours out in the field to automate some of the data input process. So I'm going to pull up my iPad and show you what our application looks like on an iPad. Just one moment. I'm using a third-party tool to display my screen.
And while you're doing that, Ray, I just wanted to ask the audience if you had any questions, go ahead and either raise your hand or hit that question mark and ask your question. If you don't have any questions, we'll just go ahead and wait for your application to launch.
Thanks, Adrian.
Oh, perfect.
Having just one quick issue here. Let me try again, sorry. I think this is related to GoToMeeting, but you can see the frame around my iPad is white, but the inside is working just fine. So here I've got orders, and when I tap on orders, you'll see that the screen changes. Apologize, we're just having some technical difficulties here.
There's so much you can do with technology, but when you're working with GoToWebinar and everything else together,
Right.
great when it all works together, isn't it?
It is. Sorry, just one more moment. I apologize. Okay, I think we're there. Just one moment.
I work with another company who also does webinars with us, and they use the same technology, and it always seems to be a little bit tricky with the iPad.
Right. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now. There we go.
It is crystal clear.
So here's the iPad application, and I've been looking at a list of orders assigned to me. Now I'm playing the role of Ray, the field technician. So here's this Saratoga Medical Hospital work order, and you can see that I've got the work order information. I can see what the address is, who the original caller is, and I can change my status. So I can change my status to arrived, like we talked about. And that's going to change the color on the dispatch board so that the dispatcher knows kind of where I am and what I'm working on. We can see that there was comments here that the generator won't start, so that's really what I'm working on. And so a big piece of our solution is asset management. So if there's customers that are servicing equipment, that equipment can be serviced out in the field, and they can build up that service history on the equipment. It looks like the connection just stopped again. So I think I'll go ahead and just kind of talk through the rest of this. But the idea here is that we would navigate down here with the tabs at the bottom. There it is, it's catching up. So here I can see that I've got a generator that I'm servicing. And then there's 3 different types of line items that I can add to a work order. I can add parts coming from inventory. So those parts could be things like a bolt. I could have access to different warehouses. Again, this is coming from Sage inventory. So we'll just add a couple parts. We'll add a 1-inch bolt, and maybe we fix add an access valve as well to fix this generator. I can add my billable labor. So I can say maybe that I started this job at 11. And let's say we worked until 12:45, so this will add an hour and 45 minutes of my billable time. And then the last thing that we have is tasks. These are basically anything that's not a physical part coming from inventory and is not an amount of time that could be billable. So this could be things like mileage, tolls. So I'll go ahead and add portal mileage here. And maybe we added 15 miles round trip. I could add comments. Since this is an iPad, I can use Siri to take comments with my voice. So there you see, fairly accurate there. So again, that's just one way that we enable the technician to get his job done a little bit quicker and spend less time recording what he or she is doing. So we've added these line items, we've added a part, we've added billable labor, we've added a task. Billable labor and tasks will essentially come over to a sales order invoice as miscellaneous charges. And the last thing that I'm going to do here on the mobile application is an inspection. So again, when I mentioned our inspection solution that we sell standalone, this is the exact same capabilities. So customers would have a web-based tool to build this form. And really, everything you see me do on this iPad could be done offline out in the field. So I can enter all this data without a connection, and then when I'm within range, just sync and push all this information to the server. So I'll go ahead and fill out some of this. We'll say the area manager is Jim, the crew foreman is Bob. So we've got text fields, we've got date fields. So I can say that I started today on the 10th. We've got custom multiple choice. So maybe my company cares about tracking, what job types I'm working on for tracking purposes. I can capture images. I'll go ahead and take a picture of my keyboard. And so I can have as many photos as I need to, and this is all going to be stored with the work order in our database, and then could be used for crystal reports or knowledge sync and emailing the customer. We've kind of got these on-off checkboxes. We've got numeric entry, more pictures. I've also got signatures available as well. So maybe I capture Larry's signature on site saying that I was actually here and he signed off on here that I was here and did the work. So that's our inspection application. So if you have any custom fields that need to get data collected out in the field, we can do that within what we call inspections. Or if they're just doing inspections of equipment, that's a scenario too. The last thing I might want to look at is service history, so I can see previous times I was out here. I can see kind of, oh, this seems to be a recurring problem. So that's maybe something I want to take care of and make sure we don't have to come back out here. So I can see, so we've showed you adding line items, parts coming from inventory, billable labor, tasks, anything that's maybe billable or just want to note that I've done. We showed inspections, and we've showed job status. The last thing I'm going to do is change my status to closed, and if I hit save now, this order will be removed from my device. So I'm essentially, turning this in and submitting the data. So that's our mobile application. Again, I showed it on an iPad today. It would look essentially the same on an iPhone. We would only show one pane at a time instead of stacking them all on the screen. And it also runs on Android phones and Android tablets. And again, everything can be done that I showed offline. Obviously, I'll need to have a connection to sync the work order information. So that was the second part of our webinar today, which was mobilizing the field technician. So hopefully we've showed you so far how we make schedulers and their life easier and increase their visibility into what's going on in the field. A big piece of that is making the service technician's job a little bit easier in reporting on what they're doing. But hopefully you've seen already how we could cut down on phone calls, as the scheduler doesn't have to pick up the phone and call the technician and ask what he or she is working on. So hopefully already we were starting to see some of that rapid ROI that we were talking about. But we're going to move on to the third piece, which is involving stakeholders. So we've got all this great data that we're collecting out in the field. The scheduler, the dispatcher role knows what's going on, but what about the rest of the organization? So executive managers or service managers, they need to know what's going on as well. And a big piece of that is our portal solution. Actually, a big piece of that is Knowledge Sync. So again, we sell Knowledge Sync in almost every one of our deals. We've got an event pack that we've built, so it's built hooked up to all the ServicePro modules. So things like inventory, obviously that can be done out of Sage. But as soon as a work order is closed, I could get an email that notifies me of that. And so that email might be useful for somebody like a service manager. And maybe I want to know, what's happening in my organization. And maybe a technician is going to get an email or a text message when a job's been scheduled. So those are a couple examples of things that we can do with Knowledge Sync. Here's an example of an email that we've generated with Knowledge Sync. It's very basic. Obviously, these can be customized, but here we're just showing that Ray completed this job at Saratoga Medical Hospital, and we've got the information that we need. So now we can go in and invoice and shorten that time that we're doing to invoice work that gets done out in the field. So knowledge sync is definitely one area that we help stakeholders across the organization. The second is our stakeholder portal solution. So now I'm going to jump into a quick demo of that. But the idea here is basically we build out different roles in the organization and map out kind of, okay, what does that role need to see? So maybe somebody who's focused on contracts, they're going to see data that's more focused on contracts, whereas a technician may not care about contracts, is really focused more on equipment. So that technician might view data related to equipment out in the field. And similarly, a senior manager or executive might care about KPIs, so we can put together some charts and graphs to show the senior management team. We kind of sometimes compare this to like a My Yahoo dashboard, or really any type of consumer service where you tell it what sports teams are your favorites and what stocks you care about, and then you can log in every day and just view that information right there at your fingertips. So same idea, just applied to the business. So here you can see our stakeholder portal solution, and I'm kind of logged in as a demo account because I'm kind of showing a little bit of everything here. But we've got these widgets. These widgets are interactive, so I can change data and change and filter criteria and have them change. These widgets are customizable. They're drag and drop. So here I'm logged in as an executive. I can see sales by year. I can see kind of order status by technician. I can look up products and kind of see sales history. We've got a file explorer widget down here. So if I have files on a shared drive that are related to work orders or projects, I could easily pull those up. But I want to also show you some of the things that we have for some of the other roles in the organization. So give me just one moment and let me make sure that I've got the right login here. So we've also got this document retrieval widget. So again, a technician maybe wants to pull up a manual for a piece of equipment that they're servicing that they haven't worked on in a while. So we might pull up a PDF on this snowplow because it's approaching winter again and we haven't serviced the snowplow in a while. So I can pull up that manual. So this might be a widget that a technician accesses, whereas an executive, again, might be focused more on these charts and maybe looking at how busy is Larry today, what are his work orders and workload. I can see he's got 13 work orders. Most of them are open. I can look at calls across different types. I can look at contracts needing renewal. I can look at contract pricing. And so basically what we typically do is sit down with customers and ask them what's most important to them. We've got over 100 widgets out of the box, so you can see a few examples here. We're regularly building new widgets. Again, we've also got a video widget, so maybe I want to pull up a video on how to service a particular piece of equipment. And so maybe I want to change the target light. And so now I can watch a video on how to change a target light. So different stakeholders across the organization, interacting with data very differently. Again, we're branching out from just the ERP system, working with maybe a few users in the back office and really enabling almost the entire organization, whether it's service technicians out in the field, on their mobile device, or accessing videos, accessing manuals, executives who maybe aren't in Sage day to day, but maybe they want to pull out some graphs and charts and things like that that are a little bit more active than just a crystal report. Maybe we're also talking to the sales department, and maybe they want to view service history, but they don't have to go in and create work orders or things like that. They just want to view some of the data associated with those. Here is an example of a customer portal. So right now I'm logged in as Cypress processors, and so I can see only the data relevant to Cypress processors. So I can see a listing of all the work orders that have been at my locations that are scenario demo customer this is their customer, just for lack of confusion, or to prevent confusion. So now we're logged in as our service company's customer. So Cypress can see all the times that the service company was out, what they did. They can see contracts and what is covered under those contracts. They can see what the status of all their orders are. Again, we could put schedules on this. We've got the ability to enter a request for service. We've got the ability to enter an RMA as well. So that just allows for even more involvement outside the organization beyond, again, what we would typically experience. So here is a different data. Again, it's still locked down just to Cypress processors. So I can see that the service company has a record of my equipment, and I can see also the contracts that are covering this equipment. So really powerful scenarios that really enhance a company's ability to serve their customers. So that essentially wraps up step number 3, which was involving stakeholders. So again, if we go back to that first slide of bridging the execution gap, connecting stakeholders to technology and business process, hopefully you saw how executives, maybe even manufacturers, but definitely customers, service technicians, as well as order entry people, could all log into a portal and view data relevant to them and see just the metrics and KPIs that they care about. So we've covered, let's see, I'll just make sure we recap everything. We've covered schedulers. We've covered how we use the visual scheduler to help them see what technicians are doing. We've covered field technicians. So we've showed how the mobile device and mobile application makes their life a bit easier and allows for better data reporting and data capture. We've talked about involving different stakeholders, things like managers. And so now the question you're all wondering is, okay, so how does this work with Sage? So when it comes to Sage integration, we work with Bob Richter and ROI Consulting, and we use their product called InSync, which allows us to access virtually any of the information in Sage 100's database real-time via web services. So that's kind of how we're doing this integration. And the way it's set up today is we're pulling over customers. So any customer that's set up in Sage, we pull that over and we treat it as a customer for our application. Similarly, we pull over all the ship-to addresses and we treat those as sites that could potentially receive service. We have a tool that can run through previous sales orders and pick up equipment that was sold for building out that equipment record so that we can have a record of what equipment is at a customer location so that when they call in for service, we know what they're calling about and we can track that service history and warranty information on that piece of equipment. We also integrate with inventory. So we pull over a listing of parts and then we push and pull data around parts quantities and allocations. And so that allows us, again, to improve that inventory usage out in the field. We pull over credit status if that's important to the customer, and then all those line items that you saw me add on the mobile device out in the field, those will be pushed into a sales order invoice for billing purposes. So basically, the data comes back. There can be a review step where a service manager says, okay, I reviewed this. These billable items are good. These are all things we're going to bill for. The prices are correct. The quantities were correct. And we'll basically push this into Mass 90 or Sage 100 and bill out of that application. So that's how the integration works today. We are regularly adding new capabilities to do things. Obviously, every Sage customer is a little bit different, using a different set of modules. But we've got at least the core integration down today. This is a brief slide just to show you all the things that our ServicePro kind of desktop product does that we didn't take into account. So field service is a huge piece of it. We've got a call-taking module. We've got equipment tracking. We've got service history. A big thing of what we do is contracts as well. So a lot of our customers will have extended service contracts beyond a piece of equipment's warranty, or they might do preventative maintenance contracts. Those are typically very profitable for service organizations. And so we have ability to manage contracts on equipment, renew contracts, set service history, set those PM appointments, have the system automatically remind you when those are due. We've got a whole RMA module as well, and again, mobile and scheduling are big pieces of what we do also. So that about does it for the presentation and the webinar today. The rest of the time we wanted to allocate for questions, so we've got about 15 minutes. So if you've got a question, feel free to use the Q&A tool, and then Adrian will read those. While you're inputting your questions in the tool, my contact information is on the screen. Again, my name is Ray Thomas. I'm Director of Business Development here at MSI Data. My email is rayt, R-A-Y-T, at msidata.com. Best number to reach me at is 262-518-7028. And quick plug on next steps. We're looking forward to working with all of you. If you've got an existing customer that's maybe looking to upgrade or replace an existing solution or maybe add a service solution that they didn't have before, we're happy to talk. If you're pursuing new business and service is a big piece of what they do, don't hesitate to shoot me an email or give us a call, and we're happy to work on those prospects with you. The picture here is of our booth at the Sage Summit. So you can see our scheduler running on a big flat screen monitor, as well as many mobile devices, phones and tablets across the various operating systems. So I will pause and let Adrian walk through any of the questions if there are any.
So thank you very much, Ray. Great presentation. And I do have a poll up right now. If we could ask the audience if you could quickly answer this poll, that would be wonderful. Do you have any customers who may benefit from this solution? And then while we're asking that polling question, while the audience is answering, Ray, can you drag a task from one technician to another on that scheduler that you showed?
Yes. That's a great question. Yeah, everything is drag and drop. So if a job was running long and a customer technician needed to reschedule some of their work orders, it's all drag and drop. So they could change their status to running over, and they could basically notify the dispatcher that way, or send them an email or give them a call, and then the scheduler could take any of those work orders that we showed, drag and drop them to other technicians or other dates and times. So those are definite capabilities.
So let's say a technician had some car trouble and isn't going to be able to make it on site to the customer. Would you be able to drag the task from one technician to another based on location, skill, or maybe even tools, different qualities that a technician might have in the field? And location, I think, would be the most important part, because you don't want a technician driving from, one side of Atlanta to the other if you've got a technician with the proper skill and tools nearby.
So just to make sure I understand that question, so the question was, can a technician do the rescheduling?
Well, can the scheduler, like let's say the one technician ran out of gas or whatever, their car broke down, so you need to reschedule another technician to meet with that customer just for customer service?
Sure.
Could you do that based on skill and location or tools, any type of?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you could pick up the order and just assign it to another technician, or you could unassign the order and drop it down to that bucket that we started with, and then go through the exact same process of, okay, who's the closest technician, who's got the right skill set, who's available, and then basically reschedule that job accordingly.
So that's huge ROI based on customer service, just from that standpoint, and then gas saving and knowing what skills that technician has, if they're capable of addressing the need of the customer, and then the tool set just seems like right there could be a lot of ROI for many field service type customers.
Right, absolutely.
And then I do have one more poll. I'm going to close this one out and then share the results. It looks like 100% of you do have customers who can benefit from this solution. And then I'm going to ask the no-brainer. Obviously, I would think that everybody's interested in learning more. So if you indicate you're interested in learning more, Ray is going to personally follow up with you with a phone call and just make sure you have all the information needed to address your questions.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things I didn't mention is that we've got some brochures that we can send. Just a quick overview of our sales process is typically we have a discovery call as our first step. So we do a 30-minute needs analysis that can be done virtually. And our goal there is just to understand the customer's business process and get an overview of what they're going to be using the software for. From there, they can, then we'd set up a demo and go through the software according to that needs analysis and show the exact business process that they're looking to see.
And James, thank you so much for your question. I do see another question, Ray. In this particular partner, Sage 100 partner, a long-standing Sage 100 partner, they also represent NetSuite.
Okay.
Does this, could you build an integration with NetSuite, or have you?
We could. We have not. We basically approach it from customer demand. So if there was a customer that was looking for a solution and found us to be a good fit, then we could build that integration. We've got a couple different options for doing that, a couple different levels. We have talked to a couple NetSuite partners recently, and so we're pursuing opportunities there. So if one of those closes, we will be building integration into NetSuite.
And I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll here and share the results, and then I'm going to take a peek and see if we have any questions. Looks like 100% are also, obviously, since they have customers that are interested in learning more, then they are also interested in learning more. So great presentation, Ray. Thank you so much. And I don't see any other questions here. You were very thorough. So we'll just hold on for another 10-15 seconds, see if anybody raises their hand. Just go ahead and click on that button with the hand or the question mark and manually type in your question if you have any questions. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and hide this poll so we can share your contact information one more time, Ray. You can reach Ray at 262-518-7028. or rayt@msidata.com, Ray Thomas, and he'd love to hear from you, I'm sure. I'm not seeing any other questions at this point, Ray, so would you like to close it out with anything further?
I think that about does it. If you have other questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I will quickly say that I am out of the office starting tomorrow. I'll be traveling for business, so I will try to respond to emails and voicemails. But if there's a slight delay, please just forgive me for that. Just competing priorities at the moment, but we're looking forward to working with all of you. Hope you found today's time useful, and thank you so much for attending. And thank you to Adrian for organizing this.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Everybody have a great day, and I did record this. We will send a copy of the recording out to everybody. And we just really appreciate you taking time out to join us today to learn a little bit more about this solution. And take care.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.